Welcome to the Mindset Architect podcast, where it's all about creating the life you want, the business you want, and making a real difference. Join us in unlocking the code to true success. And now your host, Tony Caliendo, Master Coach with Rethink Coaching.
Welcome to the Mindset Architect podcast, episode number 43. I'm Tony Caliendo, Master Coach here at Rethink Coaching, and thanks for sharing your time with me today. It truly is our most valuable gift, and I appreciate that you're sharing your time with me. Today, I just got back from a trip to Texas where Texans say they're just preheating for summer, but in my book, 98 is pretty hot. I was there for a memorial for a good friend of mine who passed, and was grateful to be part of that, and am so grateful to be back home and here with you all, my friends. I do want to talk today about something that comes up and has come up of late, and I always want to share with you what I'm hearing happening out in the entrepreneur world, out in the business world, out in people's lives, because I think if one person's experiencing it, chances are others are as well. And I always want to try to help us continue to move forward towards our goals and towards our future self. So what I've heard as of late is, things are different or changing, and that's just kind of life, right? That's life in business. They're always going to be evolving, and different things are going to be happening that some are in our control and some are out of our control. But the question that keeps coming up is, I know all the resources, I know all the tools, but how do you truly stay in a place of positive mindset and belief that you're going to be okay and that you're going to be successful? And that's a tough one. I'm going to be really honest with you because there's so many different factors to this. Yet what I do know for certain is that we're 100% in control of the beliefs that we have and the thoughts that we have around our success. And therefore, we can drive the bus versus having the bus driven for us. So sometimes I get asked this question, and I think people are shocked when they hear me say that I too go through this. And I just want to share that as a human being, I too experience times when things are not sunshine and rainbows and glitter. And I get into my own headspace about, is this working? Is it not working? And if I keep doing this, is it going to be okay? It happens because I'm a human being. And I always want to share some tools with you to help you out. And so I'm going to share tools with you that I use in those moments that doubt and disbelief creep in, because those are two of the biggies that can paralyze us and to pull us out of taking action. And a couple things are happening when that goes on. So when we experience doubt and disbelief that we're going to be okay, it's a reaction really from your brain is all that's really happening. So I want to refresh about some of the basics that we talked about, but they're the ones that are impacting this situation that you might be finding yourself in, or if you're not there, you might experience here in the very near future. And this would be a great resource for you to have to be able to keep moving forward with momentum. So remember, as a human being, regardless of what you do, coach, entrepreneur, just general great human being, we have about 60,000 thoughts a day. And what's important about thoughts? A thought that you have repeatedly over and over and over becomes a belief. So if you're in a state of disbelief or you've lost belief that it's possible, it's because you're experiencing a thought over and over and over that is causing that. So we have 60,000 thoughts per day on average. Some have more, some have less. Remember, these are conscious and unconscious thoughts. I mean, your unconscious mind is always working. It's how we stay alive. And you're constantly having thoughts. So we can have up to more or less than 60,000 thoughts. What's important about that is that in that 60,000, approximately 80% of those thoughts are disempowering or negative. And that's a big number to process. So if you think about that, 60,000 thoughts times 80% is about 48,000 disempowering or negative thoughts. Remember, a thought had over and over becomes a belief. So if you've fallen into a state of belief, we've got to go look at what the thought is that's creating it. And then also remember that 95% of our thoughts are repetitive. So they move forward with us day to day, week to week, month to month. And we're having a lot of those same thoughts over and over. So it may not be a surprise to you as to why you have fallen into a position of losing faith or disbelief that what you desire to have in life of your goals and your business or your goals are at risk. So how do I combat it? Here's what I'm grateful for. And this is what I'm going to ask you to do as well. I am keenly aware of the energy and the feeling that I have when I'm experiencing and allowing negative thoughts to drive the bus. I immediately notice it, boom, and I think it's just because of all the training I've had, that is not serving me and I need to do something to change it quickly, or it's just going to snowball. Negative thought, negative thought, negative thought, negative thought, and it's going to make me feel less empowered and less able to do what I want. So how many of you are finding yourself in that position and you're stuck on having the same thought over and over and over? I'm not going to succeed. This isn't for me. Maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe I should go get a regular job. Maybe I should get a real job. Some of us tell ourselves that when we're entrepreneurs. I got newsflash. You got a real job. Whatever those thoughts are that are driving you to a position of disbelief or falling out of faith, it's really important for us to figure it out. So I do a couple of really basic but powerful things. You know the thought flow model that I've talked about a lot and will continue to talk about. Your thoughts impact your feelings. Feelings dictate action or non-action that you take and then ultimately produce the results. So if I'm in a place of disbelief or falling out of faith, that's a thought, right? And a thought had over and over is a belief. So I know that is how things flow. So I've got to get to the thought, what is causing it? And when you get into a place of negativity, where you're spending more time in the 80% than the 20%, and it's a choice, you're going to experience this. So I will, and I do this often, team. I do it often because my mind is working just like everybody else's. I will spend 10 minutes doing what I call just a thought release or a thought dump, whatever you want to call it. And I take 10 minutes. I set the timer on my phone. I turn off all of the notifications, the beeps, the buzzes, all of that stuff. I might have some meditation music going in the background. And I just sit with my thoughts for 10 minutes. And I constantly am writing them down. I do my best not to lift my pen. I just want it to be a flow of thoughts. Now, knowing that we have 80% negative, 20% positive, it shouldn't be a surprise that at the end of the 10 minutes, you've got a combination of positive and negative thoughts. This is where it's so important, is to take that list and go through it and look at the negative thought or thoughts that are really holding you down. The ones that you're like, that one has so much power right now. And that's the one that I'm thinking about over and over and over, or those are the ones that are holding me down. It might be more than one, and that's okay. Once you've identified those thoughts, I want to refresh you on a model that you can use to reframe, to dispel the negative thought. And it's 4 really simple questions. So if the negative thought is, I'm never going to have another client again. My clients are going to fire me. I want you to ask yourself these 4 questions. Is that thought true? Now, you wrote it down, and in the moment, you may be like, yeah, the thought's true. I wrote it down. Great. Is it 100% true? And this is the powerful question in these 4 questions. Is it true? Is it 100% true? You're going to find that it's not 100% true, right? I'm not going to get fired. I am going to sell another contract. I'm going to do what I want to do in my life. I'm going to lose another 10 pounds, whatever it is. You're going to find out that it's not 100% true that you're going to receive the negative. And that right there is the key to opening up the door to it being different, or the possibility of things being different. Because when you realize it's not 100% true, you get to move to the next 2 questions. When I believe that it is true, how does it impact me? How am I showing up? And that's really powerful, because you get to get really clear. When I hold on to that thought that I now know isn't true, it impacts me in a way, and how does it affect me? And you sit with that and you think about all the ways that's affected how you get to show up. Then, because we know it is not 100% true, we know that there's a possible different outcome. And this next question is power as well. So now that I know the thought is not 100% true, when I hold on to the belief that it's not true and I realize the truth, who do I get to be? How do I get to show up? How will it be different? So powerful because you're reframing in the moment. You're turning a negative into a positive. And that's what we're looking to do, right? We're looking to eliminate as many of our negative thoughts as we can, because a thought that we have over and over and over becomes a belief. So if you've fallen out of belief or you've fallen out of faith, I promise you it's because you're holding on to a really powerful negative thought. So those 4 simple questions. Is it true? 100% true? Who am I when I hold on to it? Who could I be when I release it? That is the power. So I will encourage you that if you're really in a funk, and it's okay if you are, it just means your brain is holding you in this space of more negative than positive. Sometimes it's doing that because you're doing something different and it thinks it's dangerous for you to do something different. So it's going to pull you back into what you've always done. That's how the brain works. It views change as danger and it thinks it's protecting you. So it's going to create the space of negativity so you don't do that other activity and you default back to what you've done before, or you default to doing nothing. So when you find yourself in that space, this exercise is critical. And you may have to do it multiple times a day. When I'm writing a program or I'm launching a program and it doesn't quite go exactly as I hoped it would go, I've got to do this with myself, or I can go to the negative. Nobody wants it. I missed the mark. I've got to change it, because the second I do, I start to get results. I start to get people to raise their hand. I start to get people to ask questions. So the power is in the change. Now, this may surprise you. This is not one and done. That negative thought is a deep neural pathway in your brain that may come up over and over and over. And it may go away for a little while. And then a month later, you're like, God dang it, there it is again. It's going to show up again. It's up to you how quickly you want to move from the negative 80% to the positive 20%. That's all that's happening. You're living in one of those lanes. I don't care that 20% of 60,000 is only 12,000. I don't care. That's 12,000 thoughts that are good. That's 12,000 thoughts that are positive. That's where I can choose to spend my time. Can I decrease the 80%? Yes. That's my belief. I don't have any data. I don't have any scientific proof other than I feel like since I've been doing this work, I tend to have more positive and less negative. Still have negative. And you're always going to. And I want you just to realize that and accept it. And I think this is important to understand. It's like being happy and being sad, right? If sadness didn't exist, so if the negative thoughts didn't exist, sadness didn't exist, I wouldn't know what happiness is, because it would be just one big feeling. I wouldn't know happy. Same thing with negative and positive thoughts. If we didn't have negative, we wouldn't know what was positive. So you're going to have negative thoughts. I don't care what your percentages are. It could be 80%, 70%, 40%, whatever. You're still going to have negative thoughts. That's my belief in just why it happens, because we need that counter, right? We need to know what sad is to feel happy, negative to feel positive. That's really it. And so spending time doing this, just grab a sheet of paper. People ask me, do you have a handout? Do you have whatever? Yes, I could send you one, but it's really pretty simple. Grab a piece of paper, set a timer for 10 minutes, write out your thoughts. You're going to reward yourself for the positive, and you're going to look at the negative that are most impacting you. And you're going to look at asking yourself those 4 questions to dispel that negative thought. And then you're going to immediately be able to run it through the thought flow model now, because now you've got a positive thought. Okay. So now when I think about this as I'm an amazing salesperson, I'm going to sell 100 contracts this year, that's going to change how I feel. Remember, thoughts, feelings, actions, results. It's going to have an immediate impact on how I feel, the energy and the emotion that I have, which is going to impact taking action and how I show up when I'm in action to get me to the ultimate result I want to get to. So that's really the secret to this all. If you are in a place of disbelief and you're in a freak out mode, I just want to invite you to control the thought narrative, because that's what's causing it. That's it. It's that simple. A couple universal laws that I love is fear or faith. You can't have both. And when you're in a place of disbelief, I believe that to be a bit of fear, right? So fear or faith, you can't have both. Or reasons or results, you can't have both. So you can reason yourself to death about why it's not going to work. You're not going to get results. You're just not. You can have reasons why it's not